Good morning, campers. It's another weekend. I'll just call it that. It's a Saturday morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, out walking the dog, and this is where we do the intro to the next episode of Van Build. There's Vin having his breakfast. He didn't want his proper breakfast, so he's come out here and all he does is eat grass. Anyway, dogs. We'll no doubt be paying the penalty for that later on with the flatulence. I'm surprised you don't smell it on this. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. Van build. What are we doing this weekend? I really need to give you an update on what we did last weekend. I posted the video, but then since then, because we put the ceiling up, Sharon has painted the ceiling and I've started the installation of the lights. Did a couple of lights first night, did some the other nights. I think Thursday night I actually managed to hook it up to the electric to see if it worked. Out of 6 lights that I put up, 2 worked. Not a very good ratio if you ask me. Checked the wiring, I got a third to work. Switched the light over with another light. It still doesn't work, so to me that's the wiring. So I've been using these clips that link, that you can splice in a third line into a main line, if you like. So I've had a red power line going along, spliced in the one from the light. Same with the earth line, spliced in the one from the light into the earth line, or the ground line, or the black line, or whatever line you want to call it. And I think it's them connections that aren't working as good as I thought. It's probably me, but I've had 2, 3 work eventually. And I had to stop because the battery on my tester has run out, so I need a new battery for that. So I'm thinking about doing away with them connectors and soldering it, although as they're at head height that's going to be a pain. But I'm going to go to the shop and see what other methods they've got of connecting basically one wire into another wire, sort of a joint connector if you like. Figure out what they've got in the shop, and then we'll try and solve that this weekend. I also want to permanently fix my electrics in. At the minute the batteries at the back are just 2 batteries, roughly connected. All the connections to that for the lights were all rough, so I need to do a more permanent installation on that, figure out exactly where I'm putting them. And this is becoming a really long intro, so I might do that again. Take 2. Morning campers, it's another cold morning. Another weekend is here and we need to figure out what we're going to do on the van. Last weekend we put the ceiling in after putting the bed in. During the week Sharon's painted it. I've also managed to stick some downlights in, wired them up, and only 2 out of the 6 worked. Played around with the wiring and got a third to work, but basically it's the connectors I've used. I haven't done the connections good enough, so I need to revisit that. I also want to make, as this was just a sort of jerry rigged up, I want to plumb it in properly, get the batteries fitted in where they're going to stay. I'd like to get my battery to battery charger done as well. But we'll see how far we get. I need to go to the shop and see what connectors are available. Okay, talk to you later. Oh, and if you're liking it so far, subscribe. I'm sure Vin would like to hear your comments. Where is he? There he is. And listen to them crows. Say morning, morning, morning. Come on then, let's go for a walk. So that's what we did last weekend during the week. We finished off with having the roof up. During the week Sharon painted it and I put the lights up. You can see there's only 3 lights come on. Now last week, during the week there was only 2. I managed to get a third on. So I've got to sort that out. I've also just jerry-rigged the batteries. I need to figure out where I want to put them. I think I want to put them a bit further in and sort that out. And Sharon, would you like to see what you're doing?
I am finishing off my template for that side. It's going to be cut out of this kind of stuff. What's this stuff?
Plywood.
Plywood. So I can put it there, box that would be a nice little opening there, and I'm going to do my arty-farty shite on it.
Thank you. Well, that's why you keep to the waist side. Put them off for next time.
Cut that bit off.
You get rid of stuff? It's going to be backwards and forwards.
Oh, I know. Did some soaring.
Go on then.
Is it going to fit? Probably not.
Morning campers. Another day is dawning, and as usual on this weekend I walk the boy. So while he's busy sniffing around, I'll give you an update on the van. Electrics. That's what I'm focusing on this weekend, and I'm not going to show you the detail because it's really boring. I'm certainly not an electrician, so I wouldn't want anyone just to follow what I do. The only thing I would suggest is watch as many videos as you can be bothered to watch. It'll confuse the hell out of you, but it gives you ideas. It shows you it's all possible, anyone can do it. But if in doubt, get someone who's qualified to tell you what to do. A couple of things I will say. I spent most of yesterday sorting out the lighting. We've put 6 downlights in the ceiling. When I first put them in, I rigged up the battery, only 2 worked. So I spent a lot of yesterday trying to figure out why. Was it the lights were broken? Was it the bad wiring? Well, it wasn't the lights, that's for certain. Using a multimeter, which is a hell of a tool when you're doing electrics, you can find out when there's any breaks in wires. It was the connections, and it was a variety of types of connections. Where I've spliced it into a main line, one of the earths wasn't in properly. The majority of them though seem to be the plastic connectors that came with the lights. These weren't, 2 out of the 6 were working. The others, when you put a continuity meter on it, it just wasn't getting a buzz. So I've ended up cutting them off and putting spade connectors on. After doing that, after figuring out the issue and doing that, and it took us a while to find out that it was that issue. Because who'd have thought it would have been the plastic connectors that come with it? You'd think they would work perfectly. So anyway, I've sorted that out. We've now got 6 lights working. So I was happy with that. I then thought, right, let's finally figure out where we're putting the batteries, and I've put them in, secured them, wired them up in positive to positive, negative to negative. Is that series or is that parallel? I can't remember, but it's one of them words. And then I was going to run off the positive into a master switch, if you like, and then from there into my fuse box. Sorry, I'm just watching where the boy's going. I just hope he's not going in that puddle. Let's have a look at him. There you going. Big pond, pool there. Come on this way. I'm not going to wash you. Keep away from the water. Don't go into the water. Oh, by the way, another lovely day dawning. A bit overcast, but hopefully it means it might warm up a bit. It's a bit white off a frost. And that's the wind. And there's a noisy birds going. So today I'm going to do the charging side of the electrics, which is basically plumbing the DC to DC charger that runs from the van battery to the leisure battery. So that's back to the front, from the front of the cab type thing to the back. So that's a bit of routing we'll need to figure out, but that's what I want to achieve today. Hold on. What you waiting for, eh? What do you want? Are you listening to me? Are you getting educated on how to do a van? No, he says. He wants to walk. You're bumping, are you? Come on then. Come on then. Go on, do you want the ball? There's your ball. Go on. And that is about as much running as he does. He thinks he can still gallop, but he's getting too old for this, aren't you, boy? Right, catch us later. There's my lights. I've got 6 of them. 2 over the bed, 2 in the middle, and 2 at the front. And the issue I had was them connections that are on the end of the lights. We'd bought a few more, we didn't use them all. Them connections, you just plug into the leads. They weren't given a good connection. Can you see that? There's only a small bit of metal in there, and they weren't given good connections. So that was the problem. And it took me an age to find out, because I thought it was going to be the connections I'd made myself. Which you would. You'd blame yourself first before you blame something you buy in. But no, them connections are fine. So what I've done is I've cut off these end bits. Cut these end bits off, and I've just put spades on them. And that seems to have worked. I now have 6 working lights. Okay, so there's the batteries I installed last night. What I'm doing today is installing that, which is basically 20 amp onboard battery charger. So it works for Euro 6. It'll also work with solar if I get a solar system later on. But yeah, and it works on lead acid, which is what I've got. So the cable is going to run from the battery. This is the red one I've just laid down, all the way along that wall, then all the way down here, which will box in, and that's the main run. And the battery is underneath the passenger side. So I'll have a cable coming from one of these terminals, because that's the positive side. You can tell the negative side. From there, see what it's like under here, see if I can run something through there, put the fuse in there, and then run it to the back side of the chair. I don't want to run it directly under the chair because I'm going to replace the stand that this is on into a reversible system, rotational system, whatever it's called. But that's the plan. So I'll show you what it's like when it's done, hopefully. Oh, and then there's a positive I've got to plug into a live feed, so I'll run it again from the back all the way at the front and just plug it into a fused system. Okay, I'll show you when it's done. So to show you what I've managed to do is we've installed a CTEC DC to DC charger there. The red line on the left, this line here, is all the way from the battery at the front. And we've got the positive coming out into the positive of the batteries, the leisure batteries. We've put a negative on into the negative of the leisure batteries, and then we installed a grounding point, earthing point, whatever you like. Took the back to bare metal and plumbed that in there, so to speak. This is some sort of temperature probe that it just says stick closely to your battery. That's the fuse, and this is the only other connection we had to make into the positive on the battery. It will get boxed in all the way down the side, right to the front, and then we took it in between the seats and into the battery compartment that's under the passenger seat. And this is the wiring at the front. We have our positive going into the positive side of the battery through a fuse, and then we're routing it down between the seats that way. I didn't want to put it under this seat because we're going to change it, and I think that way it'll look better by the time it's covered. Once it gets down the step, we'll box it in all the way around. So that's it for this week.
Ready?
One more view of Vin not chasing a ball, and I'll be back with you next week.
I knew that would happen.